didn't work for the one true God. So he's cruising along with his donkey, and as they're marching on a mission before the one true God, he was sent to do some specific things with the Israelites. As they're going along, his donkey inexplicably and suddenly runs off into the field with him on it. Now, there's no reason to believe that his donkey was ever disobedient before, but Balaam, being a dude, and being a dude that apparently didn't have much control of his anger, he gets off his donkey and starts beating the snot out of it. And he tries to get it to get back onto the path. And so the donkey gets back onto the path. They're walking along, now they're in a canyon. And suddenly, the donkey shoots off to the left and he crushes Balaam's leg against the canyon wall. Well, he's stupid mad. Now he gets off and he whacks that donkey, and they get him back on the path and they're riding again. Then they come up to a little narrow passage, and the donkey literally just lays down right underneath Balaam. Dude had enough. So he grabs his staff and he wails on this donkey. At that moment, the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey. And it's really kind of one of those amazing scenes in the Bible. This poor donkey is getting beat for really no reason. He says to Balaam, he's like, "What in the world? Why have you beat me these 3 times? What is your problem?" And Balaam, who's frustrated, and he says, it's just, you have made a fool of me. And if I had a sword right now, I would run you through and I would kill you. So the donkey then speaks to Balaam and says, "You know what? Am I not your donkey, which you have ridden all of your days up until today? And have I ever treated you this way? Have I ever acted this way before?" And Balaam's like, "No, I guess you haven't." At that moment, God opens Balaam's eyes, and he allows him to see, and there's an angel standing in the path with a flaming sword drawn, getting ready to cut Balaam down. Because God was mad at Balaam, because he was a prophet for hire, and he would do whatever with whomever. And even though God gave him a mission, he was willing to sell him out and to do whatever. And it's kind of like the way we are as humans. When I was in college, Bible college, I had professors who challenged us to get into the minds of the people in the stories of the Bible. This story is told in Numbers chapter 22. They would want us to get into the minds and get into the full story. So in the ancient Near East and the ancient Middle East, there were 3 kinds of donkeys. There were wild donkeys, domesticated donkeys, and royal donkeys. This donkey was a domesticated donkey. And there are 2 characters in this story. Now, we've only talked about one, which is Balaam. The other character is a guy named Balak. Well, Balaam is a regular guy like you and me, or a regular person like us. Balak was a king. I can't relate to him. He's got all kinds of money and he's got a lot of power. I can relate to Balaam, because Balaam was a guy like many of us. He liked God. He thought God was cool. He thought the one true God was all-powerful and all-knowing. He thought the one true God was somebody worth following. But Balaam was also like a lot of us. If someone came along and said, "Hey, for $50, if you'll go do this," well, yeah, I could do that. Or hey, if you'll come over and do this, I'll give you a better job. And it may not be what your one true God talks about, but if you just do this. And see, I think Balaam is like a lot of us humans. He just sort of does. He doesn't really care. He doesn't necessarily focus on the things that God would have. And when we come to Christmas time each year, we get this whole reorientation. But the thing that strikes me is the other 364 days of the year. Are we more like Balaam, where, yeah, we like this one true God. He's all-powerful and all-knowing. But hey, I can make $100 over here. I can do this. Or I can do this, and he'll just look the other way. So I can picture myself as Balaam, because if we're honest, if we're truly honest, I think the way he lives life is kind of like the way I live life. Just sort of like, I'm fair-weathered, opportunistic. I'll kind of do what I think is the good thing in the moment. I think we're all that way. And God was willing to kill Balaam right then and there. This is a good time to point out, if you read your King James Version of Numbers 22, you'll find out that Balaam's donkey was a female. And she saved Balaam's life. So men, the Bible says if you have a good woman in your life, you're probably going to be in a good spot. So this female donkey saved his life by keeping him away from this angel that wanted to literally cut him in half because he was making God mad, because he was going against what God was asking him to do. The donkey saved his life. Pretty cool. I like that donkey. Fast forward about 1,500 years, and it's a night in the same part of the world, in the same desert, and there's a guy, and he's walking along with his missus, his soon-to-be wife, who happens to be pregnant. Now, it's a big scandal 1,500 years ago. Nowadays, it may not be such a big scandal. That's a little bit unfortunate. But so this guy, his name was Joseph, and he had a wife-to-be. Her name was Mary. And don't freak out, young ladies, but she probably was about 14, and she was pregnant by the power of God. So it's kind of this bunch of miracles going on, and they're walking along. And even though the Bible doesn't say that Mary was riding a donkey, I think it's safe to assume that they left Nazareth, which is kind of like where Lafayette is, and they had traveled 90 miles through the desert to get to Bethlehem, which is kind of like Franklin. So I'm thinking that a pregnant woman, it said in the King James Version, she was great with child. She's not walking. You know what I'm saying? She is riding. And the ride of choice back then wasn't a Mustang. It wasn't anything like it was a donkey. And so I think we can safely assume that she's riding on a donkey, and she's heading to this town called Bethlehem, which literally means house of bread. And so they're heading to the house of bread, coming from Nazareth, where they lived, and where their house was going to be when they got married. And they're coming down to Bethlehem because it's the census, and there's a whole bunch of things where you have to count people. And they had to go back to their family hometown. These two people, Mary and Joseph, were both of the line of David. Now, if you know your Bible, you know in the Old Testament it says, from the line of David will come one who will be the Messiah, the Savior of the world. And so here's this girl riding on a donkey through the desert with her soon-to-be husband. She's pregnant, like ready to pop. And then she comes to the town of Bethlehem. And so in the first case, we have a donkey who saves one man from the sure judgment that's coming from God. God's mad at Balaam because Balaam's doing the wrong thing, and his donkey saves his life. Not long after Balaam got cut down by the sword, because judgment always comes. In the second instance, we have the donkey riding through the desert, carrying a woman who has a baby in her belly that is the Savior of the world. So in the first instance, the donkey saves one man. In the second instance, the donkey is carrying the Savior of mankind.
Nice.
It's really cool. It's cool the way God shapes and structures things, the way that He tells us these stories and the things that He shows us. He's got a way. And the way is to let us know that He loves us. A lowly donkey carrying a 14-year-old pregnant girl who's going to give birth to Jesus. The Bible talks about this. In fact, John, who is Jesus' best friend, John the Beloved, one of the apostles, and talks about the fact that Jesus was our Savior. And remember, they're going to this place called the House of Bread, and John and others call Jesus the bread of life. And so the bread of life is quite literally born in the house of bread, Bethlehem. And John is letting us know in these amazing words in his gospel that when he says, and I gotta find where I like to read these right from that scripture. He says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through Him, and without Him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in Him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. One of my favorite passages ever. And tonight, Christmas Eve, we celebrate this baby, carried along in his mother's womb on the back of a donkey. We celebrate this Jesus. We celebrate the Savior that has come to save the world. We know that Jesus came to pay the price for our sin. This baby who was born to die. Quite literally born to die. This God who came as one of us, that we might be reconciled to Himself. It's just all amazing. The miracle born on Christmas so many years ago. And all the witnesses to this, all the pomp and circumstance, everything that God has and does for us. Just as he did with Balaam's donkey and saving the one man and opened the mouth of that donkey to talk. Well, I mean, that's crazy. I asked a question. Anybody ever heard your animal speak? Just check it. There's one you said, Jeff Taylor, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Brandon. The donkey that Mary's riding, I just wonder what was going through that animal's mind. I am reminded that if one donkey could speak, another donkey could speak. And then I think of the words of Bart Millard in the Mercy Me song, when he talked about what was imagined to be like in the presence of God. He said, surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus, or will in all of you be still? Will I stand in your presence, or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? It's amazing when we start to think of the awesomeness of Christmas, the awesomeness of God's gift to us. And between these donkeys, we have our first donkey saved one man, our second donkey carried the Savior of all of man, and each of these were domesticated donkeys. Earlier I mentioned there were three types of donkeys. There was wild donkeys, which we're not dealing with today. Most of us are kind of like those. There are domesticated donkeys. A few of us are like those, a little more polite. And there are royal donkeys. And our third and final donkey is the one, as you fast forward another 33 years. Jesus tells his disciples, he gathers them together and he says, hey, you guys, go into town. I want you to go into town. You're going to see a donkey, and you're going to see it tied up with its colt. That's its baby. And I want you to grab that donkey and its colt and bring it to me. And when the man asks you why, say the teacher needs the donkey. Now, I don't know how you roll, but if someone came to my house and took my car and just said, hey, the teacher needs your car, I'd be on the phone or my gun or something. But the guy said, oh, okay. So this miracle of this third donkey, they bring the donkeys to Jesus, and don't get confused by the different stories, because in the four Gospels they give a different account of this. One says he's riding the donkeys, but he's really just riding the colt, because that's what the prophecy in Zechariah says. And they put him on this donkey. They'd never been ridden before, and the mama donkey had to come along, otherwise the baby would have ran off. And so he's riding these donkeys. Now keep in mind, this donkey that was just miraculously given to him, that was sitting in the town waiting for him, wasn't royal until when? Until royalty sat on him. Until royalty sat on the donkey. And so Jesus picks the Mount of Olives. Now the Mount of Olives is a famous place in Jerusalem. It's called the place of God's coming, his going, and his coming again. In the Old Testament, they worshiped God on the Mount of Olives. It's taller than the mountain that the temple's on. It's the tallest mountain in Jerusalem. And that's where they worshiped God. And then when Jesus ascended after his resurrection, he ascended into heaven from the Mount of Olives. And then the prophecies tell us when he returns, he will land and return, come back on the Mount of Olives. And so when Jesus in 33 AD, 33 years after the first Christmas, when he was born, he decides he's going to get on a donkey, and that donkey becomes royal because he's the king. And how do we know he's the king? Because he gets up on the highest hill in Jerusalem, and he says, I'm going to come down off this hill. The Savior of all humanity, the King. As Zechariah 14 says, the King will come down. And if you were a political power of that day, people say, no, Jesus doesn't do politics. Yes, he does. Jesus went to the political seat of power in Jerusalem and got on a donkey, which is what kings did, and rode down the hill into town, which is what kings did. And the people laid their palm branches, which is what they did for kings, and laid their cloaks, which is what they did for kings. Have you got the message that Jesus is the king? He made it very clear. And at the center of his message, of his kingship, is this donkey, because that symbolized the royalty. And he was coming down to let people know that the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. We love Christmas because babies Babies are cool. And what a great baby, a baby that is born to save us. That's an awesome baby. Most of them just eat and take your money. And so it's one of those things, this baby came to save us, and too many of us leave Jesus in the manger because that's a safe place for the Savior to be. But if you look at the life between the donkeys, Jesus didn't stay a baby. He didn't remain in the manger. He didn't only come to die, he also came to live and to help us know that he is the King. He is the King of us, King of our lives. I like that part of the Christmas story. We don't often share it. The Mount of Olives. He's got this journey. We come from Balaam, which represents all that we are as humans, in need of a Savior, lost, hopeless, always doing stupid stuff, always on the verge of being killed because of the judgment that has to come. The Bible says that the wages of sin is death, and the gift of God is eternal life. And so we have Balaam, who was saved by his donkey. And then we come to Mary and Joseph, and they ride this pregnant woman with a little baby. And it comes, and he comes and is born, and it saves all of us if we just believe in him. And it doesn't stop there. And then we have the royal donkey that brings Jesus down from Mount of Olives. And really, symbolically, in all of our lives, Jesus is always coming down into our lives, and he is our King. We went from needing a Savior to getting a Savior to having a Savior. That's the story of Christmas. That's what we do every year. That's why we're here. We need a Savior. We get a Savior. We have a Savior. I don't know how you celebrate. I don't know what you do tonight or tomorrow morning. I don't know how you give gifts. I don't know what you say to your kids or your wife or your husband or your nephew or whoever it is that you live with. All I know is that there's this message right now. And the message is that King Jesus, our Savior, he came. He is here for us and he loves us. I am forever grateful for you guys. On a very personal note, I just left my family. I love my family. I have 7 brothers and sisters and everything that comes with that. All kinds of kids and grandkids and aunts and uncles and cousins, and my gosh, they weren't even all there, and this house was packed. My son pointed out to me that most of my brothers and sisters and family, they're not Christians. And it's a whole different reality. And so I drove 84 miles to get back here tonight so I could be with my Christian family. And I love my family. I would die for my family. This family and that family. My heart breaks over my personal family and that they don't all just embrace Jesus like I just don't understand why they don't. And my heart is gladdened when I get together with my brothers and sisters on an evening like tonight and we talk about Jesus and we talk about the King and the salvation that comes only through him. I am so grateful for you. I am so grateful for my family, and I am forever grateful for my Jesus. Let's pray. Father, we are awed by your gift. We are awed by your presence. We are awed by the fact that you came in such a lowly way, and then you left in such an amazing way, and will return in an even more amazing way. We thank you for the donkeys, Lord Jesus, and the symbols that they brought to us, our need for a Savior, you as our Savior and you as our King. So Father, tonight, as we think of Christmas, may we remember you as our King and our Savior. We love you. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Every Christmas Eve for 17 years we've gathered and done this, and every Christmas Eve we also take communion. My understanding